Pastor Kayanja churchgoers urged to shun PS Tom Mugerwa's church MugerwaNews.com, by Mugerwa November 9, 2023 at 6:43 p.m. by Mugerwa reporters. This is strange but true. A number of church ministers working under Pastor Robert Kayanja's Rubaga Miracle Center ministries have now for some time been relegated to the periphery, sidelined and relieved of their responsibilities in the church, protesting their decision to simultaneously worship at Pastor Tom Mugerwa's Mutundwe-based Christian Fellowship Church. Aggrieved insiders say that, much as they find the prosperity gospel at Kayanja's church exciting, they equally need the repentance and deliverance messaging which Pastor Tom Mugerwa specializes in. Mugerwa's message has lately been amplified by the very large up-country crusades he conducts in the hugely influential MCFFM radio which he established 6 years ago. Very expensively acquired from Pastor Joseph Serwata, who used to operate it as Alpha FM, the radio has enabled the humble down-to-earth man of God from Masaka to reach many souls that he would ordinarily not have reached without such a compelling presence on the airwaves. Mugerwa, who the regulator UCC recently authorized to acquire what used to be CTV and start his own television station to focus on Christian ministry messaging, has lately attracted envy and a lot of enemies from among fellow pastors because of the way millions of Ugandans claim to have been delivered and transformed their lives through his Christian teachings. Online, he equally has a lot of following from especially Ugandans in the diaspora. At Mutundwe, he has gradually carried on with his approach of buying out willing neighbors, including Mutsa 2 Memorial Primary School, in order to get land to expand on the physical space available for the conduct of church services because the original place long proved inadequate to accommodate thousands who flock Mutundwe every day, Monday to Saturday. Taking advantage of the fact that their boss doesn't conduct Sunday services, in order to avoid conflict with pastors who potentially can accuse him of taking away their sheep, many of the less prolific pastors aiding and enabling Mugerwa or serving under him at Mutundwe have gone ahead to start their own churches which are thriving and doing very well with larger numbers than many of the older churches which are now struggling to get numbers. Whoever passes or drives through that side of Kampala will agree that a lot of the traffic jam complicating pedestrian and vehicle movement along Kiimba close all the way to Wenkalakuku Stadium has to do with hundreds of salvation-seeking Ugandans who frequently flock Pastor Tom Mugerwa's place. Naturally, this popularity and rapidly growing church ministry has created uneasiness from several pastors whose church congregations have been shrinking after Christians failed to register tangible transformation in their lives besides the fatigue that comes with endless financial exploitation and manipulative teachings clearly anchored on distorting biblical teachings. Apparently, one of the longer-serving and hitherto more established church ministers who have become uncomfortable with Tom Mugerwa's growing influence is none other than the very enlightened Pastor Robert Kayanja, from whose Rubaga Miracle Center Church, located less than 2 km from Mugerwa's, hundreds have been defecting to join Mutundwe Christian Fellowship. The uneasiness recently became too much to bear when it was made clear that whoever ever goes for fellowship or to pray at Mugerwa's Mutundwe Christian Fellowship Church must immediately abdicate any ministry responsibility at RMC. Such people, including those who have been at Miracle Center for decades, can now only hang around as ordinary Christians and not as anything anymore, not ever ushering. And the bad or good news is that a lot of them have chosen being totally excommunicated from Rubaga MCC if Pastor Robert Kayanja can indeed not respect their right to occasionally go for deliverance sessions at Mutundwe. On strict condition of anonymity, Mugerwa News has privately interacted with some of those Robert Kayanja ministers who have opted to being expelled or excommunicated than missing out on Mugerwa's deliverance sessions. The truth is that since the Sodomy series, which famously were done by the now defunct Red Pepper newspaper, things have never been the same for Kayanja's Rubaga MCC Church. The crowd has gradually been shrinking at a time when scandal-less Tom Mugerwa's is growing, which naturally brings uneasiness. Ironically, Pastor Isaac Kyob Kiwawesi of Kansanga Miracle Center, who is taken to be one of Robert Kayanja's spiritual children, has insisted and continued having close relationship with Tom Mugerwa, on whose radio he frequently appears every week besides occasionally preaching in his Mutundwe church. Even last Saturday, Kiwawesi, whose view is Tom Mugerwa ought to be emulated rather than undermined, hosted close to 1,000 pastors from the Kampala metropolitan districts of Kampala, Mukono and Wakizo, who the Mutundwe big man addressed and sensitized on the dangers of focusing on intrigue and the prosperity gospel at the expense of the real deliverance and spiritual transformation of Christians who flock their churches. The event was held at the Kampala Road-based Fido Dido building, which is owned by Pastor Kiwawesi. The secret relationship Pastor Tom Mugerwa has with key members of the Museveni First family is another cause of the extreme envy that he continues to be confronted with. Unlike other pastors, Tom Mugerwa closely relates with First family members without allowing the same to ever be publicized. Knowledgeable sources say that, even when he is 100% aware of all the persecution Kayanja church members who insist on going to Mutundwe subsequently face, Pastor Tom Mugerwa has opted to keep quiet, preferring that God be the one to take on and fight his real and imaginary ministry battles, if any.